I'm Melody. Welcome to Myanmar Today Review, and this is where we revisit the top stories for this week from Myanmar Today. Here are the reports from our reporters this week. Akajo got the report on Bidangsu Loto approved the proposal to sign the International Anti-Corruption Academy Agreement. Dora Suizin will be giving us a look into submitting the Union Tax Bill for 2019 to Bidangsu Loto. Loon will give us the report on slums and informal settlements in Yangon. Our reporter Yan Nine has the story on Myanmar commemorates 31st anniversary of 888 uprising. Before we get to the reports, let's take a look at the featured local news from this week. President U Win Myint, patron of the Myanmar Red Cross Society, received its top leadership, Professor Dr. Do Myatu and Executive Committee, Dr. Do Amara Mo9 at the presidential residence in Naypyidaw on Tuesday morning. At the meeting, Dr. Do Myatu gave a briefing about the organizational activities of the MRCS, holding of its General Assembly in November 2019. Election of council and EC members from the township level to the central level and celebration of the 80th anniversary of MRCS. President U Win Myint said that the Myanmar Red Cross Society was an independent and volunteer society functioning in line with the Geneva Conventions, international principles of Red Cross societies, basic principles, while it was cooperating with UN bodies, social humanitarian organizations, and NGOs in carrying out humanitarian services, natural disasters, man-made disasters, emergency cases, prevention of diseases, and social welfare services. The president remarked that the General Assembly of MRCS should be held in line with laws, procedures, and principles. President U Win Myint also donated 5 million jets to the MRCS and received a permanent member badge. Union Minister for Information Dr. Pei Myint received delegations led by Mr. Masayuki Karasawa, the Chief Representative of JICA, and Mr. Won Bei-dan, Honorary Consul General of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar in Busan, the Republic of Korea separately, on Wednesday, at his office in Naypyidaw. During the meeting with JICA Chief Representative and delegation, they quarterly discussed matters related to technical assistance for Myanmar radio and television MRTV, advantages and disadvantages of the staff in carrying out their duties after attending capacity building courses and cooperation on television broadcasting. At the meeting with Honorary Consul General of Myanmar in Busan and delegation, they quarterly discussed matters related to promotion of bilateral cooperation between the two countries in the film industry and established a film school in Naypyidaw. A ceremony to mark the 31st anniversary of the 1988 pro-democracy movement was held on Thursday in Yangon. The ceremony was attended by Yangon Region Chief Minister U Pyo Min-thain, Yangon Mayor U Maung Maung So, Deputy Mayor U So Lwin, the Deputy Speaker of the Yangon Region Loto, member of the Yangon Region Cabinet, students who participated in the movement, and the people. The ceremony was held in the Mahabandula Park in downtown Yangon, and the attendees observed an 8-second silence to pay tribute to those who fell in the democracy movements in Myanmar. At the ceremony, periodicals and cartoons published during the movement and photos of the movement from 31 years ago were displayed to the public. Meanwhile, people laid wreaths outside the park to pay tribute to those who sacrificed their lives in the pro-democracy movements in Myanmar. Next, we move on to our last local news report for today. With the water level in the Tan Luin River exceeding its danger mark in Phang, over 6,600 residents in low-lying areas have been evacuated. The local authorities have opened about 12 shelters for the flood victims. The water level reached 83 centimeters above the river's danger mark, 750 centimeters. Ghanaian state government has provided food and shelters to the flood victims. The Sit Town River is receding at Madot reaching 1,089 centimeters on Wednesday. The water level in the river exceeded its danger mark 1,070 centimeter and reached 1,282 centimeter recently. The swollen river forced over 16,900 people from 3,579 households in low-lying areas to shift to temporary shelters opened at monasteries and pagodas. Relief aid are flowing to the temporary shelters. And that's all with the local news. This is Myanmar Today Review broadcasting from Myanmar International Radio. You can visit our website at miradio.com.mm. You can also listen to our radio programs live on the website. If you're on FM, make sure you catch us on 96.1 FM in Yangon, 96.5 in Mandalay, and 96.7 in Naypyidaw. You can also download the MI Radio app on both iOS and Android devices for your own convenience. And now I believe it's time for our first report. Bidangsu Loddo approved the proposal to sign the International Anti-Corruption Academy Agreement on its 13th regular session on Monday. The International Anti-Corruption Academy is an international intergovernmental organization based in Luxembourg, Austria, that teaches government, other officials, and professionals about anti-corruption measures. Loddo representatives have been discussing the proposal to sign the agreement. Akajo has more.
Bidangsu Loddo approved the proposal to sign the International Anti-Corruption Academy (IAC) agreement on its 13th regular session on Monday. The International Anti-Corruption Academy is an international intergovernmental organization based in Luxembourg, Austria, that teaches government, other officials, and professionals about anti-corruption measures. Membership of the organization is without a mandatory membership fee, open to UN member states and intergovernmental organizations. Loddo representatives have been discussing the proposal to sign the agreement. Among the Loddo representatives who discussed the proposal, Wu Seimian of Myanmar constituency said,
Index report shows that Myanmar's anti-corruption status ranked 156 in 2014. The corruption can have direct impact on the foreign direct investment. The corruption can affect income distribution, which in turn widens the income gap between the population. It also leads to social, economic, and political issues. When Myanmar becomes a member of the IACA, knowledge and work procedures on anti-corruption can be acquired, and that will widen our scope. Those working for the Commission can be sent to short course and postgraduate courses organized by the IACA. International benchmarks, experiences, and practices will be achieved. We will also have opportunities to study anti-corruption as a subject. Anti-corruption activities can be carried out in an effective manner by cooperating with other member countries in accordance with the international rules and regulations can be brought about.
The establishment of the International Anti-Corruption Academy was launched in Vienna, Austria on September 2nd in 2010. 74 countries, including Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, the Philippines, Bangladesh, China, India, and 4 organizations signed the IACA. Myanmar will sign the IACA, but Article 19 of the agreement is exception. According to the Article 18 of the agreement will enter into force 60 days after the date of deposit of instruments of ratification, acceptance, approval, or accession by 3 states or international organizations. The purpose of the Academy shall be to promote effective and efficient prevention and combating of corruption by providing anti-corruption education and professional training, undertaking and facilitating research into all aspects of corruption, providing other relevant forms of technical assistance in the fight against corruption. Domnyat Thirathon of Mon State Constituency 5 elaborated the importance of signing the agreement.
Corruption is such an epidemic, undermining the communities in many parts of the world. The Corruption Perception Index, released by Transparency International, ranked Myanmar 132 out of 180 territories in 2018, and there is only one country, Cambodia, after Myanmar in the index. While we are in need of foreign investors who would invest in the country with trust, this reflects the country's efforts to fight off the corruption. The anti-corruption measures by the Anti-Corruption Commission in Myanmar have been unprecedented and astounding. The Commission has so far taken action against 46 persons, from high-ranking officials, civil servants, to business people with corruption charges.
The anti-corruption measures in Myanmar can be dated back to the time of colonial era. The Civil Supplies Theft Prevention Committee was first formed on 23 December 1947 to prevent theft and corruption in the provision of government supplies to the public after the Second World War. Later, the Public Property Production Committee and the Public Property Production Police were assigned for investigation of such crimes. Actions of bribery and corruption were made relating to public servants of the Penal Code 1861. The process of creating an international organization focusing on anti-corruption education dates back to 2005, when an Interpol working group began discussing such an endeavor. At Interpol's 75th General Assembly in September 2006, member states voted unanimously in favor of forming an academy aimed at tackling the problem of corruption within public services worldwide. This is Agajo reporting for Myanmar International Radio.
That's the report on Pidangsu Lotto approved the proposal to sign the International Anti-Corruption Agreement. The Union Tax Bill for 2019 was submitted to Pidangsu Lotto on its 13th regular session. On behalf of the Union Government, Deputy Minister for Planning and Finance, Mau Mau Win, presented the highlighted points of the draft law.
The Union Tax Bill for 2019 was submitted to Pidangsu Lotto on its 13th regular session held on 7 August. Since 2014, the first Union Tax Law was approved, so there are total 6 laws annually approved by Pidangsu Lotto. The Union Tax Bill for 2019 is the 7th time submission. Annually, the Union Tax Law has been approved by including all perspectives for the country as well as for the citizens. Depending on the previous laws approved, the new tax law is to be improved with the concern of country's current economy and the finance policies. In the Union Tax Bill for 2019, 10 chapters and 40 sections are included. On behalf of the Union Government, Deputy Minister for Planning and Finance, Mau Mau Win, submitted the draft law and highlighted the main points resettled in the draft law. These are as follows: abrogating some goods as special goods, adding new chapter, induction and deduction of some of the tax rates, increasing the reward for the informer of untaxed special goods possession, increasing the fine for unstamped tax seal on the receipt according to the commercial tax law, and adding section for the reward of the informer.
Since New Myanmar Gemstone Law was enacted on 30th January 2019, gems will be abrogated as special goods. The new chapter is to be included for the taxation on the trading of gems according to the Section 38 of Gemstone Law, and the tax rate does not change.
The taxation for the cigarettes, liquors, and cherries is to be indebted. The income tax rate will be deducted to reduce the untaxed income for the support of the country's economy. The deducted tax of the income will have benefit only for trading and possession of the legal goods, starting up the new businesses and extending the businesses. It doesn't concern with illegal goods trading and possession, and any matter to be taken action according to the money laundering eradicating law.
လုပ်ငန်းထပ်မံတိုးချဲ့ခြင်းတို့အတွက်အသုံးပြုမဲ့ငွေကြေးတွေအပေါ်မှာသာခံစားရရှိနိုင်မှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီလိုဆောင်ရွက်တဲ့နေရာမှာလဲဖော်ထုတ်တင်ပြတဲ့ဝင်ငွေဟာတရားမဝင်ပစ္စည်းများပိုင်ဆိုင်ခြင်းရောင်းဝယ်ခြင်းတို့ကရရှိတဲ့ဝင်ငွေများနဲ့အမှတ်တစိကပ်ပေးဖို့ပြက်ကွက်သူဖြစ်တဲ့အထူးကုန်စည်ထုတ်လုပ်သူအပေါ်မှာဒဏ်တက်ရိုက်ကောက်ခံရရှိတဲ့ဒဏ်ငွေအပေါ်မှာလည်းပဲစုကြေးကြီးမြင့်ပေးနိုင်ရန်
In the previous law, it was defined that the possession of untaxed local goods is to be fined and the informer is to be rewarded based on the fine. In this tax bill for 2019, the producer of the untaxed goods is also to be fined and the reward will also increase.
နောက်ဆုံးတစ်ချက်အနေနဲ့ကတော့အပိုက်39နဲ့အပိုက်40တို့မှာကုန်သွယ်လုပ်ငန်းခွန်ဥပဒေပါပြည်စာအမှတ်တစိကနှိပ်ချင်းမရှိတဲ့အတွက်ဒဏ်တက်ရိုက်တဲ့ဒဏ်ချင်းငွေပမာဏကို
The fine for being unstamped tax seal on the receipt, according to the commercial tax law, was set 200,000 just for first time and 1 million just for 4 times and above. It is newly set as 500,000 just for first time and 2 million just for 4 times and above fining. The informers and officials who arrest will be rewarded from the fine.
ရခိုင်ထင်များကစားတောက်ဆိုင်ဟိုတယ်တက်ခုခန်းများရုပ်သံလွှင့်မီဒီယာလုပ်ငန်းများမှအယောင်ပြေစာများအပေါ်မှာအခွန်အမှတ်တစိကနှိပ်ရောင်းချစေတဲ့အစီအစဉ်ကိုဆောင်ရွက်ခဲ့ပြီးတော့ယခုနှစ်မှာမိုဘိုင်းဟန်ဆက်နဲ့ဆက်ဆက်ပစ္စည်းအယောင်ဆိုင်များမှာအခွန်အမှတ်တစိကနှိပ်ရောင်းချစေတဲ့အစီအစဉ်ကိုဆောင်ရွက်ခဲ့ပါတယ်တိုင်းနာမှုမရှိတဲ့လုပ်ငန်းရှင်များကိုလည်း
After being approved by the Birasu Ludo, the Union Tax Law for 2019 will come into effect starting from 1st October 2019. That's all now. This is Dora Swissing from MI Radio.
That's the report on submitting the Union Tax Bill for 2019 to Birasu Ludo. Moving on to our now third report. Slums and informal settlements are steadily increasing in urban areas such as Yangon and Mandalay. According to UN Habitat survey conducted in 2016, identified that there are a total of 423 informal settlement cases in Yangon, primarily in response to the migration from the Delta region post-cyclone Nargis, increased employment opportunities as a result of Myanmar's economic liberation and the dramatic increase in land prices in Yangon. Now let's find out how the government of Myanmar is addressing the issue with our reporter Loom.
Myanmar remains a predominantly rural country with 15 million, or approximately 30% of the country's 51.5 million people living in urban areas. Nevertheless, this figure is expected to increase. By 2050, an additional 7.1 million of its current rural population will migrate to cities. The increase in urban population will put a severe problem on cities and the needs for affordable housing. The clear evidence of it is growing number of informal settlements, particularly in Yangon and Mandalay. Now, Country Program Manager, UN Habitat, Mr. BJ, explained why they started to address the informal settlements in Yangon together with the Yangon regional government.
There are about 450,000 people who are some sort of informality or slums, as you wish, who are in a very despair condition of housing and basic services infrastructure with very little income and very bad conditions, right? And these are essentially the people who also runs the city and who also generates economy for the country, because they work in the factories, they do the taxi driving and all kinds of things. So they're part of city's functionality, but they are in very poor condition, and therefore in order to make the city and their places more livable, the state has a responsibility to deal with this informal settlement issue, to transform them into humanly livable human settlements.
Mr. BJ further explained there are an estimated 365,000 people living as informal settlements in Yangon.
Yeah, when we did the survey in 2016, It was 370,000 people. Later, when Yangon regional government wanted to register the people, it came out to be 450 plus people, because the numbers are also growing, because people migrate from the villages to city in search of the job, in search of the livelihood, and the number was increasing, and I would imagine at the moment there would be something like 450 plus thousand.
So what made people to look for informal settlements in Yangon? Mr. BJ explain more.
It's not what make them homeless, because they come from outside city in search of a livelihood, search of a job, search of employment opportunity, right? And now they are there, but their income level is so little that they live a month by $80 or $100 or $110 if they are lucky, and most of their jobs are informal. They are not monthly paid salaried individuals, but they are poor people, right? And therefore they come here, and then they cannot afford to rent a house, rent a room, and they end up putting up their own small hut while living in the city and working.
Deputy Director General for Policy and Planning under Department of Urban and Housing Development, Domi Midin, explained how the Yangon regional government is trying to tackle the slums and informal settlements here in Yangon.
Actually, we have been planning to, upgrade or give the solutions for the informal settlement since I think last 10 years ago. So this is the big issues not only for the regional government of Yangon, but also for the central government, how to tackle or how to make the better living for those who are squatting on the government land or the government roads, and so they are not living on the tenure rights position. So we have to think a lot about how to provide secure housing for them. So in the early 2019, the Chief Minister of Yangon, he actually assigned us, our department, and also some concerned agency like YCDC and GAD, and he had formed a committee to, it's a sort of a community-led housing development to start in this Yangon region. So with his assistance and with his, encouragement, we have been preparing a sort of a community-led housing in Laingda Township since April of this year.
That's the report on slums and informal settlements in Yangon. Let's move on to the last report for today. Myanmar commemorates the 31st anniversary of 1988 pro-democracy nationwide uprising on 8 August at Mahabandula Park in Yangon. The event was attended by Yangon Region Chief Minister U Pyo Min, Yangon Mayor U Mangso, 88 generation students including U Min Ko 9, U Go Goji, U Mya A, and composer Nai Myanmar. The student leaders urged the next generation to value those who sacrifice their lives for democracy and work of the country. Our reporter Yan Nine has the report details.
Myanmar commemorates 31st anniversary of 1988 pro-democracy nationwide uprising on 8 of August 2019 at Mahabandula Park in downtown Yangon. The event was attended by Yangon Region Chief Minister U Pyo Min, Yangon Mayor U Mangso, 88 generation students including U Min Ko 9, U Go Goji, U Mya A, songwriter Nai Myanmar. Hundreds of people, public organizations, and political parties all joined there. of 88 Generation Students Group, U Min Konai, who is also from 88 Generation Peace and Open Society, said,
အညတရပြည်သူတွေရဲ့စွမ်းဆောင်မှုတွေကြောင့်ဒီကနေ့ဒီအချိန်တွေကိုရောက်တယ်
I want to admit that we have gone through and together we made it to current situations with the efforts of ordinary people. But it is not easy to ask everyone of them by name. In every era, every system, and every revolution, there are always lots of unidentified people who sacrifice their lives and pave the way with their bones. I wish every word and thoughts of current leaders, officials from respected departments or organizations never forget to honor their values, dignities, and their efforts. The next generation, born after the nationwide pro-democracy uprising in 1988, should also respect for those who lost their lives in attempts for democracy.
ကိုပြုနိုင်ပါစေလို့လည်းဆန္ဒပြုပါတယ်
Now let's hear from Ugogoji, the chairman of People's Party.
ရှစ်လေးလုံးနောက်ပိုင်းမွေးတဲ့မျိုးဆက်အသက်30ပတ်ဝန်းကျင်ရှိကုန်ကြပါပြီ
The next generation born after the nationwide pro-democracy uprising in 1988 should also respect for those who lost their lives in attempts for democracy. The next generation after the uprising would be in their 30s now. I want them to value their predecessors, how they have been gone through and how much they have sacrificed for the change in our country. Only when they know the values, they can uphold it, protecting the barriers and avoid the political tricks. And together, we all have to carry out on our efforts and movements, handing down to the next generation, keeping in mind that in terms of development, we should make an all-out efforts to build and reform our country. The world quickly noticed the uprising as there were incredible costs of life and loss for democracy rights. Following the footsteps of their courage, their attitude, I want to urge the youth to work for the country.
And now once again let's hear from U Myo Min Yang, chairman of Pan Myanmar Center.
အရင်ကတော့ဒီလိုပွဲမျိုးတွေလုပ်လို့မရဘူးပေါ့နော်
In the past, we couldn't organize like today's event. But now, under the civil government and the positive effect of transparency, we can do it. The aim is to remember the fallen students, civilians and monks in the nationwide uprising. The reason why we can stand here today is the fruitful outcome of what they did, what they sacrificed in the past, and that is the theme of today's event.
That's the report on Myanmar commemorates 31st anniversary of 8888 uprising. Well, that's all the reports we have for today. Catch Myanmar Today on MITV every Monday to Friday at 8:30 p.m. And make sure you tune in every Saturday on MITV at 8:30 p.m. for Myanmar Today Review. Until next time.